Well, we're going to review NXT UK, 205 Live, and of course, New Japan Pro Wrestling Strong, but also a little added bonus Talk-N-Shop A-Mania 2. All of that will be reviewed on this episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Hey everyone, welcome to the Deleted Wrestle Zone. All things pro wrestling from AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, the National Wrestling Alliance, many promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I'm your host, J Rod here. So let's jump in with NXT UK. So as you know, we're getting closer and closer to crown the Heritage Cup tournament winner. But right now we have the second of the semifinals between Trent Seven and A Kid. No, Trent Seven and Dave Mastiff. So this is one of those matches that had to be important, but there's more to come. So let's start with the first one. First match was an tag team match between The Hunt along with Eddie Dennis facing off against Kenny Williams and Amir Jordan. Now, as you know, what was it, a week or two ago, The Hunt turned their backs on one of their closest friends, Flash Morgan Webster and Mark Andrews, due to the fact that somehow Eddie Dennis was able to convince them that they were not their friends, that they were doing this, and all of that happened just like that. And apparently, this particular match, it was really good. I have to say, as you know, I pay attention to a lot of the wrestlers. I have to say, Kenny Williams and Amir Jordan are two amazing wrestlers, even though they don't have a tag team name, even though they're still sticking as a single as a team, but using their individual names in it against the Hunt. I have to say, this is one of the good matches that I did enjoy. But the winners for this one was the Hunt. I have to say, this is a good match. Next thing we see is, of course, because of the Heretic final, they did showed a little of video package between Trent Seven and Dave Mastiff. They both knew each other from over the years prior before going to WWE, joining the NXT UK brand. So basically, this is more of the determination who is the best wrestler in the UK or now. So basically, there's a lot of history between them. So basically, this is put to the side. Let's see who's the best. Now, the next match is Jack Stars versus the debut of Rampage Brown. I heard his name before. I've heard it in Ref Pro, but I have to say, Rampage Brown really, really impressed me a lot. I think that all eyes are on him now because if you guys don't know this, he was the Ref Pro Tag Team Champion with um, none other than current New Japan star, the Great Okan, and we'll see how that goes. But he did stated that he is putting the entire NXT UK locker room on notice. So if I were anybody like Walter, I would pay extra careful with Rampage because you may never know if he will be the guy to dethrone him. Now, next thing we have is the continuation of the rivalry between Kaylee Ray and Piper Nivens. As you know, Piper Nivens hasn't forgotten what Kaylee Ray put her through, especially hurting her closest friend, Tony Storm, who's currently in NXT. But now it appears that Kaylee Ray has made things a lot worse, basically bringing it out that killer instinct that she wanted to see. But I think she just made it too worse for herself. So it's already been confirmed. The next week it would be Falls Counts Anywhere match between these two. Now I hope Kaylee Ray knows what she's doing, even though she has dominated the entire women's division in the NXT UK brand. But we'll see how that goes. Next match is women's match. We have Zaya Brookside versus Nina Samuels. Now, this is one of those matches that you know can see, okay, how much have evolved, especially Zaya Brookside, as we haven't seen her in months and since the start of the pandemic. Nina Samuels, same thing. But what I like about this is Nina Samuels would not allow someone like Zaya Brookside take the spotlight. She's saying the spotlight should be only on her, even though she seems like she was injured. It allowed Zaya Brookside win the match, but she faked her. So basically, she's giving her that chance to win, proving that she'll never be the star that she is claimed that she should be, even though she believes the spotlight is meant to her. So, is there a possibility of a feud here? We'll see how that goes when in the upcoming weeks with NXT UK. Now, we have an interview with Sam Gradwell. A few weeks ago, he didn't do so well with Pretty Deadly when they were in a six-man tag team match against Gallows and made things a lot worse for himself. But of course, the one person that got in his face is none other than Imperium member Alexander Wolf. Basically, he gave him some advice, but of course, Sam wouldn't hear of it. So it kind of went into, you know, yeah, whatever, that type of thing. So we'll see. I hope we'll see a rivalry between those two, but we'll see. Or the obvious, make him join Imperium, and I better shut up about it if that idea showed up. Now the main event is the semifinals of the second bracket between Trent Seven and Dave Mastiff. Now, like I said, these two know each other. Now, part of me believed that it could be Trent Seven to win this match, but however, during the match, I felt that it was Dave Mastiff that had the upper hand. He thrown a lot of power into this match, and I was so impressed with Dave Mastiff. I just enjoyed how he was doing a lot of punches, but however, like you ever seen one of those times when you're like a boxer, you know you want to fight, but you not sure if you're unconscious or not. That's what Trent Seven did, but somehow he was able to fight it off and win the match with two pinfalls on Dave Mastiff. So now it's been perfectly clear that Trent Seven is in the finals to face off against A Kid for the Heritage Cup. So I'm excited. They haven't announced when, but I would say I hope it's not this coming week, but maybe the following week. I'm not 100% sure. I'll find out more on that when the time comes, and hopefully I'll put that on the updates in the upcoming episodes, see how that goes. But yeah, so that's pretty much it on this particular side with NXT UK. So let's go with 205 Live. All right, now as you know, 205 Live is a half an hour show, but this half an hour show took the entire match. Basically, this is for a number one contendership for the NXT Cruiserweight Championship. So there were five individuals involved. There's um, Ari Davari, Tony Nese, Kurt Stallion, August Gray, and Adonis Ashante the Adonis. Now this is one of those matches we definitely got to pay. As you know, Davari and Tony Nese are the original 205 members. As you know, Tony Nese was a former cruiserweight champion. He never lost it in a triple threat match, but he was determined to regain it. As for Davari, also regain. But however, these guys are facing against newcomers, especially the rivalry between Kurt Stallion and August Gray. However, Ashante Adonis was the only person in the start of the match. He was outside of the ring just pacing around in circles. He was smart that he knew for a fact how much Davari, Nese hate Gray and Stallion. That is one of those psychology types of matches you get to see. He knows I'll let them face it off, but however, Adonis was being more careful to ensure that he does not let this win slip. It didn't matter who pinned who, but it was a great match to show how much these guys were determined to win this match to become number one contender for the NXT Cruiserweight Championship. But I'm like I said, I'm still waiting for that moment where we have to have two cruiserweight champions to face each other to see who is the true cruiserweight. But we'll cross that bridge when the time comes. But I asked myself who would win. Now this is one of those things. A part of me believed it would be Tony Nese. He's already been champion, but he never lost the title in a triple threat match. So that's how I picture it. But however, I do picture Kurt Stallion, who's an up and comer, and same thing with Austin Gray and Adonis. But that's one of those things. But I was still going for Tony Nese because that's how I felt about it. But however, the match somehow was able to go to Kurt Stallion. He actually won this match. And I was so unbelievably surprised how this turned out. Now, do I think he may have a chance of winning? I don't know. But however, I do see it's possible he could get another opportunity down the line. But we'll see how that goes when we get that. So I'll keep this short and simple since there was only one match. So let's move on to New Japan Strong right now. Okay, NJPW Strong is in the stages of the New Japan Showdown, so it will continue the following week. But I have to say, this particular day was far more best due to the fact of the best matches they actually pulled. Now, the first match was a tag team between Adrian Quest and Alex Zane versus ACH and Blake Christensen. Blake Christians. As you know, I'm a fan of Alex Zane and Blake Christians because of their on and off rivalry. They always throw in whatever they go in the independent scenes. I'm always impressed, and it's a good thing. Um, that I thought the match was good. It was good. I enjoyed exactly what they were doing, especially Zane, who I see he has a more prominent future in the business, you know, and that's one of the things that I have to pay attention about with Zane. But of course, I did kind of picture that Zane will pick up the victory for his team with Adrian, and it was pretty good. I have to say it was a really, really good match. And the next match we have is one I was like impressed with the most is Filthy Tom Lawler from MLW versus Fred Rouser. Now this is one of those match. It was so good. It kind of brought in a bit of the catch wrestling style with Tom Lawler, because I have seen catch wrestling. I'm starting to understand catch wrestling a little bit, like it's all groundwork. Something that we've been seeing with Drew Gulak, we've seen with what's his name, Tracy Williams, Josh Gresham, anybody who's been part of the Spable faction, catch point like Riddle, Tracy Williams, Fred Neer or Yetney or whatever his name is. But yeah, that's one of those things that I like about matches like that. But it was so good. I loved it. It showed a bit more of Fred Rouser that he can actually take a really good fight with a guy like Lawler who's specialized in MMA, and that's one of the things you got to pay attention. You got a guy who can hold his own. I mean, it's unbelievable. I love it. But of course, there has to be a winner, and that winner was none other than Tom Filthy Lawler. And I'm like, he always impresses me with his skills. So can't wait to see. I don't know if he will be around for other New Japan Strong dates. I'm not sure yet. Hopefully he does, because right now MLW Restart is coming soon. I can't wait to see that. Now the next match is a six-man tag with Bullet Club members Jay White, Chase Owens, and Tanga Loa facing off against an unusual trio team with Juice Robinson, Brody King, and Carl Fredericks. Now, why do I say it's unusual? You see, Brody King uh, and Carl Fredericks. I don't know what exactly. The question was, can they coexist to face off guys like the Bullet Club? That is one of those questions that comes in mind every single time you see these guys. Do they have what it takes to face off guys like them? I'm not sure. But however, it's one of those matches that's kind of like you get to see, okay, will they succeed or they fail? So that's the question. But however, even though these three guys, Fredericks, Robinson, and King, they never worked together before, but it did work. They were able to allow Juice Robinson to pick up the victory. But do I see them being in a faction? Highly unlikely because, as you know, Brody King was not sure if he will be, if any indications about the future of Villain Enterprises. I'm assuming that it might be done, but we'll see how that goes. But the victory goes to Robinson, King, and Fredericks. It was unbelievable. Now, main event time. We have Tama Tonga versus PJ Black. So this is one of those matches you get to see more of Tama Tonga as a singles competitor. Now, if you guys have been fans of Tama Tonga, you guys know for a fact he's a tag team specialist along with his brother, Tongaloa. And you get to see more with Tama, how he acts in the ring. No matter what, he's the tough guy or the bad guy in the entire thing. And it was pretty amazing to see that. I'm like, wow. But it did show a little bit. As you know, PJ Black, he was a high flyer when he was known as Justin Gabriel, but now he's doing a bit of the groundwork or striking techniques. But this match with him and Tama was really, really good. It wouldn't surprise me if somehow one day Tama would decide, I'll hire you to join the Bullet Club. That would be an interesting thing because he's not in no faction whatsoever. But we'll see how that goes. And I love this particular show, is one of the best. I kind of like, wow. But we'll see how the next week it's going to be with the New Japan Showdown. So right now, let's jump in with the worst pay-per-view ever, Talk-N-Shop A-Mania 2. Okay, Talk-N-Shop A-Mania 2. Now, what are my thoughts? I have to say, I think, in my personal opinion, the first one was better. There were a lot of things that kind of threw me off a little bit. Like, for example, um, well, I'll go. As you know, they had very interesting characters. Chris Jericho was in it, and he said this on Twitter that Talk-N-Shop A-Mania 2 is the worst pay per view. Is that if you order it, you're gonna regret it. That you're gonna wish you never ordered it. You know, I thought it was pretty good out of that part. But the best funny part is when Carl Anderson shows up at Gallows's um, estate, all pissed off, knowing, oh, you got to be kidding me. He put the ring out here, over there, and this. Like, they were angry with him that he brought them into this thing again. But the best funny part is when here comes Rocky Romero in a little Hot Wheel car for kids, because he said, I got a backseat for you. But it was kind of crazy. But apparently, in the spoofing, Gallows actually used one of those holograms that we've seen with, how to say, with Matt Hardy when we go to the compound. So I thought it was unbelievably good how that turned out. But they told him, I'm not going to be out there. I'm just going to use a hologram. So it was so funny. And they go to his house. What the hell am I seeing? So basically, it's Gallows with his wife and a mannequin right in the middle of them. It's like, what? But it was pretty amazing how it turned out. It's so funny. And of course, the rivalry between Chad Too Bad and Ferguson still goes on, and they decided to set up a main event match called Ball for a Ball. So basically, they've been punching and kicking each other in the nuts. But we'll get to that. And then first match, it was a tag team with Brian Myers and Swalgo versus Rory Fox and Rimjob. Now, Rory Fox shows up doing this really funny promo. He takes off his little pants off, and he was in his like sort of speedo type shorts. I don't know what to call it. I'm like, ugh. Same thing with rim job. But however, the match went to Swoggle and Myers. But as for Fox, he was upset. He actually did a belly to belly suplex onto rim job. Not happy with the results of the match. I thought it was funny. But later we jump into the interview with Rocky Romero talking to Laser, but all of a sudden we get a little visit from Gregory Helms, Ace reporter, acting detective, saying there was a murder happening and there was a body right there. He didn't know what to think. So throughout the match, we see him throughout the entire pay per view. He's been doing that, interviewing people. But we'll get little by little to that. The next match was Frankie Coverdale versus Freight Train. Now, Freight Train is this big dude, and I knew for a fact that somehow he was going to end up winning the match. Because he is a freight train. If you guys can see it for yourselves. So it was so interesting. Then again, Gregory Helms is always on the case, solving murders. He even talked to the hunting referee. If you guys don't know what I'm referring to, this referee is wearing this yellow vest because it's hunting season. Don't ask me why, but I thought it was so funny. Then we see a little video package they throw in between Chico, El Luchador, versus Chavo Guerrero Jr. So it became like one of those spoofs, like a family tradition of rivalry between Chico's family and the Guerrero family. I thought it was funny because they set up for the night a lucha libre death match. Basically, it's kind of interesting. I'll get to that when we get it. So I thought it was too hilarious. And then Gregory Helms again, playing detective, was trying to solve a murder. He runs into Sammy Callahan and Madman Fulton drinking beer and holding hands. And of course, it only took him a while to turn away and he sees Callahan and Fulton dead. Who is killing these people? Makes no it still rages on every single time. Now we had this interesting match called the Road Undershed match. And Long shows up saying, this is the worst pay per view ever, worse than the first one. I mean, it kind of makes it funny, and it starts really interesting. Like there was these other wrestlers I seen before, but however, they get a surprise visit from ECW legends like Rhino, Tommy Dreamer, and Justin Credible. And instead of going into a hardcore, they went softcore using soft animals. I thought it was so hilarious that they reversed the match. And of course, Rhino won, but he was attacked by some masked dude who turned out to be none other than Scott D'Amore from Impact Wrestling. I don't know what D'Amore was doing, but all of a sudden everybody starts yelling, "Give us jobs! Give us jobs!" If you guys don't know what that means, it's because it's the story. They're adding this because of Heath actually signing a contract with Impact. So basically ended up that way. Um, let's see. Next thing we have is an Evolution spoof. If you guys remember Evolution with Triple H, Batista, Ric Flair, Randy Orton, they kind of called them Revolution. Had Mark Jindrak as Triple H, Mike Knox as Knoxtista, Nathan Horn. I don't know who he is in real life, but he played his brother. And then there's the Nature Boy, Paul Lee. So basically, it kind of went into that direction. But the next match was George North versus the Nature Boy, Paul Lee. I thought it was so hilarious, but out of nowhere, someone who wasn't even booked to be on the pay per view, Stump Kowalski shows up and whack Paul Reed out, and allowing for the North to win the match. But however, uh, Noctista powerbombed him, and he tried to get Nathan Scott to punt him. I mean, Nathan Orton. I thought it was so funny. Thought it was a little bit funny, but he's like, no, and he tried to act. He doesn't want to act as Randy Orton, so I thought it was so funny. Now we get to the Lucha Libre death match between Chico and Chavo. So here are the teams who they pick. On Chavo's team, he has Watts, Alex Kozlov's mom, Um, the ref, Taya Valkyrie, and Sin. As for Chico, he has Alex Zane, Kozlov, Soul Crane, JTG, Zombie, and a comedian named Tyler Williams. It was kind of interesting. Kozlov had a knife, had a gun, and everybody had weapons. They had to have weapons because it was a death match. It was so good until later it ended with a funny segment where Tyler got himself a lightsaber and killed Chad. I was like, "You're not supposed to kill him." So it was so funny how it went. Like, he's not supposed to die. So I couldn't stop laughing. I thought it was so hilarious. Like, wow. Oh, excuse me. Now, as we know, we found out who the winner is that Gregory Helms has been chasing. It's none other than Marty Jannetty. Just kidding. It's not Marty Jannetty. It's just a guy named Marty who acts like Marty Jannetty. So so then we get to the main event ball match between Chad Too Bad and Sex Ferguson. All this time they keep fighting each other. Things go a different way. There's a moment where uh, they get interrupted by Gallows' wife, who comes back from a movie with their nice friend. You may have heard of this person. She was an adult. She's an adult actress, Annie Cruz, who's also a wrestling fan. So it was so funny. But the match ended with all of a sudden with the surprise of the cock torturer. So basically, this unknown figure shows up and started sending Karate Man, portrayed by Ethan Page, and then Fake Sting shows up, and then Gangrel even showed up there too. But the best part happened is when they had Mr. Hughes and Vincent. You guys know Vincent from WWE, and Scott Steiner like saying you guys made the worst pay per view, and then the cock torturer decided to form his own stable faction called the Cock Torture World Order, or CWO. So it's kind of funny how this is gonna be. I'm like, I did enjoy it. It was really good. Like I said, the first one was better, but I know they can try to top it as much as possible. But it's already been announced for a third Talk-N-Shop that's gonna take place in February of 2021, I think. But I'll let you guys know about that. So, uh, I think that's it for now. So I'll do the next episode doing Turning Point for Impact Wrestling by itself. But friendly reminder, we're now getting to the stage with New Japan Pro Wrestling's two shows, the Best of the Super Juniors and World Tag League. So I can't wait to see that. So I must bid all of you adieu. So goodbye, mwah, and have a nice day. Bang.